So welcome to the CareStack podcast for our viewers and listeners out there. This is Jim Gerson from CareStack. I'm thrilled to have today as my guest, Ryan Arnold, who's the principal of the Wisdom Teeth Guys, a Utah-based multi-location thriving dental practice. And the title of our program today is Flipping the Script, Creating a Sustainable Specialty Business Model Across Multiple Markets. So Ryan, welcome to both our listeners and viewers out here. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Thank you. So you've had an amazing journey in dentistry from starting out with just one practice to creating this thriving model in multiple distinct markets. Can you share your journey just in specific with our listeners, if that's all right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, mine's probably not, I don't know if there is a traditional journey into the DSO industry, but I've always been an entrepreneur pretty much since I got out of college, 28 years some now. I owned a human resource outsourcing company for 8 years, started that when I was 24 in Boise, Idaho. And that was a great experience. Sold that business back in 2006. It's going to be a long time now. But back then I was one of the younger folks in my company. Now I'm getting to be, the docs are all even younger than me. But yeah, and so after, several years of kind of just doing some different things, doing some real estate development and kind of enjoying life, I wanted to get back into building another kind of more traditional cash flowing type of business. And
okay.
I just started looking at different industries, and the dental industry was one that looked unique. And we actually initially started doing mobile dentistry. We had a mobile dental company. We're headquartered in Utah, and that's where we founded that at. And that kind of led us into what we do now, which is Wisdom Teeth Guys. So
yeah, it's amazing how everyone's journey is so different. So I appreciate you recognizing that. So what I think is really fascinating about your business, and I think will be interesting to our listeners and viewers, is that you're laser focused on a subset of the patient base, right? Who need quick care for the treatment of third molars, hence the name the Wisdom Teeth Guys. What are some ways, Ryan, in which you approach the patient and the market, for that matter, differently than a traditional private practice?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think, obviously we're in oral surgery. So, we're more, I guess, if you want to consider competitors, with traditional oral surgery practices, obviously a lot of group dental practices are bringing specialty in-house and doing wisdom teeth in-house. But it's easier to get good at something when you're only doing one thing. And so I think that's part of, our secret is we're laser focused on really one procedure, I think wisdom teeth and, some other extractions, but, we're not doing we're not doing implants. We're
Right.
not doing, our doctors aren't on call at hospitals, doing trauma call or, other things. We're just focused just on wisdom teeth. And I think you look at any business, that's one way to get better at what you're doing. So that's kind of been our focus. I think one thing we've tried to do is design our company. I guess because I'm not a doctor, I've always looked at it a little bit differently. I do have a partner that is a doctor and a surgeon.
Okay.
But I look at things from the perspective of the patient to be like, hey, if I were to let the patient design their experience in getting their wisdom teeth out, how would they design it versus if an oral surgeon designed it, or
Sure.
all of kind of the things that have evolved over the history of the, I guess, oral surgeon traditional practice model. And there's nothing against that model. I think we have oral surgeons that work for us. I think there's a lot of great models, and a lot of great care that happens in traditional OS practices. But we felt like patients were looking for an alternative, something that was more potentially consumer friendly. And so that's kind of what our focus has been.
Yeah, without spilling the secret sauce, do you mind sharing an example when you talk about just in general terms, if you're okay with that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think one thing for us is, pricing. We try to be pretty straightforward on that. At least if per patients don't have insurance, they can always get to what they're going to pay,
Okay.
really quickly with us on our website. And I know when we, call and we're trying to check out pricing as we're expanding other markets, sometimes it's 10 minutes to get to that answer, oh, I need my wisdom teeth out and I don't have any insurance. What's that going to cost me? And so with us, that's, a pretty quick answer. I mean, it's, 30 to 40 seconds on the phone. They're going to have their answer. Obviously, if they have insurance, then there's a lot more involved, and we're going
Right.
to do verifications. And
Yeah, but
so
it
I
must
think,
build trust, right, with the patients, right, that you're answering that question, not, putting it off to later in the conversation.
yeah, I mean, I think, most people come to us knowing they need their wisdom teeth out, and so they don't necessarily want to have to, spend $300 or $400 for a consult to then get the price.
Right.
And so we've tried to find ways to streamline that. So I think the other part of it is just, obviously by our name, we're trying to be a little different, a little unique. We're not, XYZ oral maxillofacial surgery.
Right.
We're the wisdom teeth guys. So people know what we do right off the bat, and everything that they got our websites focused on just, the one procedure, and we're able to get people in and out quicker. People don't want to spend any more time really at the doctor appointment than they have to. And,
True.
people are busy. It's just different than it was 30 years ago. I think people were going to go to whatever oral surgeon their general dentist referred them to, and there was no internet, and people weren't looking at reviews, and now people are shopping. I mean, Amazon's trained us, right, to kind of not have totally realistic expectations. And so I'm not trying to say we're necessarily trying to be the Amazon of the oral surgery world, but we do try and look at, what are things that we can deliver that maybe haven't, happened that way in the past, that the consumer would appreciate. And people's lives are just busier now. They don't want to come to 3 appointments to get their wisdom teeth out. So
Yes, it's funny. There's just definitely there's an informal nature about way you approach the market. You're very approachable, right? The wisdom teeth guys, and I think that really attracts. That makes you very easy for patients to want to work with you guys. I think that's a good approach.
yeah, I mean, we don't want to be intimidating, and
Right.
sure, we're not for everybody. I'm sure there's people that hate our name and don't love our business model, but I guess you look at it, if you're going to be successful, usually you're going to have somebody who doesn't love you, but we do everything we can to provide great patient care, and I think our model's proven that ours is one model in which that can happen really successfully. There are, like I said, other models. There's patients getting wisdom teeth out in traditional oral surgery practice having great experiences. There's patients having wisdom teeth out in general dental supported groups, and that have specialties in house. They're having good experiences, but we think ours is one that resonates with some people.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we've recognized at CareStack and working with the wisdom teeth guys is that you've instilled this ethos or this culture of where change is embraced or evolution has been embraced, right? You're fast moving. You mentioned the other markets. You're not afraid to pivot quickly if you need to. Let's talk about change management, if that's okay. How do you instill this culture from, with your employees, with your clinical partners, with the people that are answering the phones? What's that like in that, instilling that in your organization?
Sure. Well, I would like to say, first off, my disclaimers. I don't think I'm perfect at it. I don't claim to be a perfect manager, and I'm always trying to improve. And I think if people in your organization can see that you're willing to admit where you make mistakes, and that you're trying to be, as much as you can on their level. I mean, specific to our company, I mean, when we started the company, I literally did everything besides extract teeth and assist. I mean, anything that wasn't clinical related.
Okay.
I mean, I took the phone calls, I did the verifications, I filed claims, because I knew, being it was a new industry, I needed to understand every process kind of all the way through. And I
Okay.
don't know if that's unique to me or not, but I feel like that's helped me be on the same level of our people, because they all know that I know what they do day to day. I can't say the same, for our obviously doctors and clinical assistants, but my clinical partner, that's kind of more his area to understand. But I think, you have to get down to the level of your people and show you're willing to get in. I mean, when we opened a new market a few months ago, I was in working with our scheduling center, taking some phone calls and helping out. And truthfully, that's probably my favorite job in the whole company, is if I could sit on the phones and schedule patients. Probably not all day, but I do love being able to help people and get on and brainstorm, and that's always fun. So I think your people want to see you're accessible as part of it.
Yeah, thank you for just elaborating on that. And so because I know some of our members are practice leaders like yourself, and other people might be listening or watching this. Are there any specific watch outs when you talk about, instilling that culture of embracing change and just the ability to move quickly? And Anything that they should be looking out for that can trip you up?
Um, I don't know. There's just always going to be unforeseen things, no matter what you do. One of my favorite business books is called Ready, Fire, Aim. And we definitely go a little bit off of that philosophy. And that, like, frankly, there's just so many things about this business model I could have never, I just know I could have figured it all out without just, sometimes you got to jump out there and fire first and aim later. And
Okay.
that's kind of what that book is about. Michael Masterson's book's one of my favorites, but you can spend so much time getting ready. Go lease the office, go get all the furniture, sign a 10-year lease. That's not how we started our business. We're pretty scrappy. We didn't have a bunch of private equity. It was just, me and starting with a couple employees. And so I guess maybe I'm on the opposite side, that sometimes you're just not going to learn things till you go and you try. And,
Right.
I always think, though, it's also helpful to look at other people in your industry. This is whether it's dentistry or not, and see, is there anyone succeeding in what you're trying to do, and learn from other people, versus always trying to, do it all on your own. But there's certainly a learning curve no matter where you jump in at.
I really appreciate being transparent about that. Sometimes it's just there's no substitute for just taking that risk, right? Making that change and seeing what the ramifications are.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's shift gears here and talk a little bit about technology modernization, right? And why now? When I say why now, why 8 or 9 months ago? What changed in your perspective? What was the reason to kind of change your technology suite as you kind of approach the marketplace?
Sure. I think for us, as being a growing company, we're in 2 markets. We just added a third, and we're adding a fourth next month. So we're kind of basically doubling our the number of our markets in this year. And we just knew we needed more access to our data than we had before. I think having access to your analytics and KPIs and be able to create those, it's really hard to do if you don't have good access to data. I think also user interface is important when you're looking at being efficient. If you don't have a good user interface, it makes it harder to expand that across your company. Like in the example in our scheduling office, our people generally don't come in with dental industry experience. And so we haven't really got into CareStack a lot, but we did roll out CareStack in our most recent market opening. And we wanted to be able to have our scheduling office be doing scheduling directly in a practice management, which we had not done in our prior markets. And we just found that in CareStack, that scheduling user interface was very clean. And there's a lot of legacy stuff, I think, in some of the other PMS systems and dentistry that isn't maybe so much so I would just say access to data analytics. Those are the things that really drove us. And we've been in cloud based from day one, because we started in mobile dentistry.
Well put.
And we have a very centralized, but then also distributed, we have a centralized insurance team, a centralized accounting team, a centralized, scheduling center, call center. But then our surgery teams are, out in the markets, kind of on an island with our surgery manager, and they're in different locations. And so they need to be able to access that data wherever they're at. And so I can't even imagine not being in a cloud-based, environment for how we run our company.
Well, I know I'm biased because I work for CareStack, but I'm amazed that, dentistry, Ryan, is like the last bastion of medical, right? Where everyone's expected to still have this closet full of servers and cables, right? It's amazing to me. You wouldn't find that.
I don't get it. I think a lot of it, there are some good, products out there that are still primarily just server based. And that's why some of these docs hang on to them. And if you've only got one location, then I guess that works. But I don't have to be able to get on to log me in, even to log into a server on the weekend. We kind of work all the time, really. When you're an entrepreneur, it's like, I need to be able to get on and look at things on a Saturday morning. And so, for me, it was never like cloud based or not. And we use a lot of other cloud platforms in our company outside the practice management. We have a CRM system that's cloud based, or, review systems are cloud based. It's incredible. When I started my HR company, I wish we would have had that would have been an option, instead of having to have our own servers and an IT manager. And, we have 50 employees right now, and we still don't have an IT manager. Now we're probably gonna, be coming up upon that pretty soon. Somebody's still got to set up these laptops and send out places. But,
Right.
we've gotten quite a ways without
That's
it.
amazing. Even though scale without that requirement so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's you mentioned we haven't talked about CareStack, and that's good. We're like 12 minutes in, and we haven't discussed it that much, and that's by intent, I think, just to hear more about from your business perspective. But it is no secret to our listeners that you're a CareStack client, and I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, why did you pick CareStack given the relative unknowns when there were safer options to possibly choose?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we looked at a lot of their options. Obviously we've been in cloud management software for several years, which I think has worked very well in many respects. But yeah, we just didn't see the, development going the direction that we needed. The one thing we've gotten in CareStack is, I can't really, way has blown me away about the amount of support that we have gotten. Like our implementation manager spent hours on hours, weeks on weeks for several months with us. And in our prior, our other solution, like it's submit a ticket, we're paying extra for any of it. Oh, it might get on the development timeline. It did feel like we were a lot more of a number. Whereas with CareStack, we've been pretty prioritized, and I've had conversations with your CEO a couple of times. I mean, those things are important to us for sure. But I think the technology was a big part of it. I mean, we were struggling with appointment reminders, wasn't really working in our other solution the way we wanted. We felt like they were trying to keep everything kind of in-house, making integrations difficult, but the in-house solutions weren't really working. So I would say for sure, the patient paperwork and appointment reminders have been super slick and scheduling for us in CareStack. The reporting, I think right now is probably about on par with where we were at before, but I know I can see the analytics, the direction that you guys are headed, CareStack is, with dashboards and things that are coming. And also I feel like just the ability, you guys are working on some custom reports that we just need. So there's just, every business is a little bit different.
Sure.
That, that we weren't getting that type of like level of service in our other solution. And I just feel like, it was fine when we had one market, but when you're expanding, you need, your data needs to become bigger. And so that's probably the only, the thing. The only one thing I would say, we're looking for improvement on. I know it's kind of one thing you're going to ask.
Yeah, go for it. Fire away,
the medical billing needs some work, and your folks know that, and they're working on that for us. That's probably a little unique for us being in oral surgery.
Right.
That we do have to bill out medical sometimes, and that needs some improvement. But I guess the one thing that I feel good about is I've done softwares in a lot of different companies. My HR company, we went through 3 different software conversions, which I mostly managed because we didn't have an IT manager through a couple of them. And, no software is perfect. You know what I mean? I don't care what software you leave to go to a different one. There's always going to be something like, I missed that, right? So you're always trying to figure out, like, is 80% of it or 70% of an improvement? And I think for sure with us, that's been the case with CareStack. But what helps us is in knowing the places that maybe, gosh, we missed this, or this needs improved, that we're having constant dialogue with your people, and they are like continually working on it, specific to us, and not just like, well, if enough people decide they need that, then maybe we'll think about putting in our development timeline. And so I think that's been huge for us.
Well, I appreciate that. I know Kevin and Jay, who are kind of in charge of our product development, are listening to this. And so gentlemen, like, go back and let's work on that medical billing area. I think that's critical. Like, we're a technology company from the ground up, and we have humble roots. And the only way we're going to get better is from our clients giving us that feedback, right? And holding us to continually evolve the software. So no, I appreciate you speaking to that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I give a shout out to our implementation person. Nicolette was just, seriously blew us away. She
awesome.
is so sharp, spent so much time with us. She talks really fast, so you got to keep going. She's got a
I
lot
think
to
she's a New
cover.
Yorker originally,
She
right? That's
is,
part of it.
but she just, yeah, like that. I did not expect, to be honest with you. I thought we're
Sure.
just gonna have to end up figuring a lot of this out. So
Right.
that's been nice.
No, thanks for speaking to that. So when we talk, you just, this is a perfect segue. We're talking about implementation, right? So implementing anything new to a practice in full swing is never easy because we don't want to close you down. That's not going to work in your world. Couple that with the fact that a conversion of practice management software, it's probably like the most difficult one to undertake. So if you could just maybe just expand a little bit about the implementation experience, what was it like?
Sure.
Yeah, just a little bit more depth would be
Yeah,
great.
I mean, we had a little bit of an advantage in that we didn't have to go all or nothing. When I was in my HR company, it was kind of like we're converting over payrolls January 1 for several thousand companies that we service, and it all has to happen at once. So, with CareStack, because each one of our clinical entities are a different EIN, we had the ability to say, okay, we're opening in Phoenix, which we did in January, and so we rolled that with CareStack. We've kept our original 2 markets currently in our prior, solution. So we're able to like kind of kick the tires and make sure it's working for us and kind of create things from scratch. Our intent for sure is to go back and move our original Dallas and Utah markets over to CareStack, but we'll have learned a lot by then. And yes, data conversion's always a pain, so I'm definitely not looking forward to that. But I think we'll have a lot of our kinks worked out, prior to getting to that point. But we're opening another market next month in San Antonio, and that's we're moving full ahead with CareStack in that market. So
Yeah, thank you for speaking to that. So the needs of a multi-location specialty practice are unique. Couple that with the fact that you're also in this specific area of handling third molars. What are some ways that you use, Ryan, you use technology, you harness technology for the benefit of the patients? And then also because you're dealing with a subset of, a high amount of, I'm sure you have adolescents too with the responsible parties. Like, how do you use technology in that regard? I'm just, if you can speak to that for a moment, that would be great.
yeah, I mean, I guess in some ways our needs are in some ways simpler, probably in other ways deeper. We talked about the medical billing thing, so that's probably a deeper need for us than maybe other. But then at the same time, we do wisdom teeth, so like we have a handful of explosion codes. I mean, we really are billing out generally 10 or less codes
Okay.
throughout the entire year, which would be dramatically different than a general dental practice. So I can't necessarily speak to, to some of that, but I think, just the ability of the way that, the treatment planning, charting, and posting of those explosion codes, and CareStack has really helped us, get that more efficiently. Like I said, the CareStack user interface is simple enough and clean enough that we're able to have our scheduling office, our call center, for lack of a better word, do that scheduling directly in the practice management and have that patient paperwork go out immediately.
Excellent.
Versus we were using a third party tool. It's easier. In our prior one, we just didn't feel like that user interface was clean enough to make it easy. And it's been to make it easier to just kind of do that and have it in one place versus, a couple different programs. So
Sure. So what's amazing, Ryan, we're almost 7 months in, right, to implementing CareStack at your first office. I'm just curious, what are the benefits you're seeing across the group?
Yeah, just like I said, I mean, I keep going back to user interface, but like, when I log into CareStack, I like to look at it. Like, it just, it's easy for me to get to the information.
Okay.
The reports have, been easy to get to, be able to create some filters using a slot finder for our staff to go find slots. I mean, that's not unique to CareStack. What's unique is that the user interface have allowed it to be easy for anyone to use. So that's kind of the difference, is you can have all the same things, but if it's not accessible to every user to quickly learn, then they just don't use it.
And you mentioned, a lot of the people that you have that are really successful in your environment don't have a dental background, right? And making it easy for someone without that expertise.
Yeah, I mean, at least on the front end, our
Sure.
people that are answering the phones are coming in, and a little different for us because they're scheduling one procedure, so they need to learn all about wisdom teeth. So that's a lot more trainable than if they've got several hundred codes and treatment type plans they're dealing with in a traditional dental office. I mean, obviously, once they get scheduled, then, our folks on the ground in each market are, our surgery managers and assistant surgery, those people are, have years and years of experience in oral surgery and background there. But this has definitely made it easier for us to bring in people who just have great people skills, great phone voice, ability to work with patients well, and not necessarily be tied down to just recruiting dental experience staff.
Yeah, thank you for emphasizing that. So we're coming to a close here. I think you touched on this a little bit earlier with medical billing and some of the reporting, but we want to give you this opportunity. I know you have a wish list. Maybe there's things in addition to that. What are areas that you'd like to see enhanced here in the near future?
I think, we're definitely excited to see the analytics dashboards coming. We've got a few requests out for like some specific, like we're trying to get reports for, we're pretty active marketers. We do invest a lot in marketing. So we're trying to get collections reports by our lead sources. Right now those are by production, but for us, we like to see that actual dollar amount. And I mean, we'll probably have it within a couple weeks. You guys have, been working actively on that. So, I think the billing, there's some things that could be a little more streamlined on that. But other than that, I think a lot of the stuff you guys are working on, when I've looked at the screenshots on the analytics dashboards that are coming, look like exactly what we need. I mean, for me to be able to look at all 4 of our markets and see what our production and collections are on a analytics, dashboard, and quickly get to that information is going to be just, phenomenal. So I'm really excited about that.
Ryan, thank you so much for your candor during this interview. I know I appreciate it. I'm sure our listeners and viewers do as well. One thing I want to ask of you and everyone who's listening and viewing out there is join the CareStack Champions Facebook group. This is a great way for you to dialogue directly with us. I mean, you have the formal setting, right? So Ryan, you bring up tickets, you put in an enhancement request. We'll respond to that in a very formal way, but it's a great way to hear about what's new, what's going on with CareStack. We'll sometimes give a preview of what's in the pipeline when we're looking for feedback. So if you could join and then encourage anyone else in your organization, that's a great place to stay in touch with what's, with CareStack and what's new, what's coming, CE courses that we're sponsoring, things of that nature.
Oh, it's good to know. I don't think I knew about that. So I'll join as soon as we get off the call.
Awesome. Well, Ryan Arnold, again, thank you. The principal of the Wisdom Teeth guys. And you mentioned it, you're in the Utah market now, Texas. Anywhere I missed, by the way? I'm sorry about that.
So we're in Utah, Phoenix, Dallas, and San Antonio start next month. So, I guess if there was a shameless plug for us, we're always looking for great oral surgeons. We have great income opportunities, without the hassle. And we work a pretty condensed schedule so they can make a great income in a few days a week.
So Ryan,
and doing something a lot of people love to do. Like if you love to do extractions, you love to do wisdom teeth, we've got a really great model, and you don't have to mess with a lot of the other stuff that maybe you don't enjoy as much. So,
well, what's a way for people to reach you? Because I know that this is there an email address?
Sure, yeah, no, that's fine. They could just, anyone wants to reach out to me, Ryan at wisdomteethguys.com is my email. Probably be the best way. So be glad to hear from anybody or help anybody out. I love talking entrepreneurship and marketing and getting to know other, DSO owners and, practice owners. So yeah, be great.
Well, thank you so much. Again, it's Ryan at the wisdomteethguys.com, right? All one
just Ryan at wisdomteethguys.com.
Wisdom Teeth Guys. Okay. Thank you for correcting me.
RYAN. Yep. Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening and viewing. Ryan, really appreciate your time, and we look forward to supporting you in this journey.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate being on the podcast.